morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us here on Inside NASCAR. For the first time in 11 weeks, the Winston Cup circuit has the week off. That's not the case for the Busch and Truck Series, who are together in Fontana at the new California Speedway. We'll check in with Phil Wurz coming up, and we'll look back at yesterday's No Fear Challenge truck race. It's all straight ahead on Inside NASCAR.
In only his second year with the Roush Racing Team, Jeff Burton has made the Exide Ford a familiar sight at the front. But a bizarre inner ear virus dropped him from the title chase and briefly forced him out of the car. We'll find out how Jeff has handled that emotional elevator. Jeff team manager Buddy Parrott, one key to success is to know the competition. One thing's for sure, his son Todd is plenty tough as crew chief on Dale Jarrett's Quality Care Ford. You'll hear how they handle being father and son competitors in this high-stakes sport. Plus, you'll meet Busch Series driver Joe Bessie. Taking his first division win at Dover was the icing on a cake that took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make. We'll have those stories and a lot more coming up today on Inside NASCAR.
Inside NASCAR is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. And by the UAW International Union and General Motors Corporation. Assembly line to finish line, teamwork wins.
Well, the 1997 Busch Championship race is all but decided with defending series champion Randy LaJoie in command. Rookie Steve Park, who's third in points, starts from the pole in today's Kenwood 300. Our Phil Wurz is standing by with more on that, plus the rest of the news from the Busch Garage in Fontana, California. Phil?
Thanks, Tyler, and good morning, everybody. The Kenwood Car and Home Audio 300 marks the fourth inaugural race for the NASCAR Busch Series this season. Las Vegas, Texas, and St. Louis were the other three. And it was announced earlier this week that Pikes Peak, Colorado will be added to the NASCAR Busch Series schedule for 1998. That's a look at the inaugural news. Now let's take a look at what else made news here in the Busch Garage at Fontana this weekend. Points leader Randy LaJoie wrecked his primary car in practice on Friday. The Base Motorsports team responded by putting the Fina Chevy backup car in the show by qualifying 18th. To top that, LaJoie was fastest in Saturday morning's practice. He could even clinch consecutive series titles later today.
I would like to win this race, and I would like to clinch it out here. And then we could really have a big party and go to Rockingham and Homestead and just go there and hell-bent for election and then go there and win some more races.
Don't count out Elliott Sadler today. In inaugural races this season, he secured front row starts at Las Vegas and Texas and won the inaugural race at St. Louis. Rusty Wallace is one of 5 Winston Cup regulars running today. This will be Rusty's first Busch event in 4 years, and it comes under unusual circumstances.
We had to find a Ford, and I said, you know, there's not a lot of Ford Thunderbirds out there, but I think the best cars are definitely the 9 car and the 60 car of the Roush stable. And so we talked to Jack, and he put a deal together, and I brought Mark's number 60 car out here with this crew. And I tell you, they couldn't be nicer. These guys are awesome. They've taught me a whole lot. And Mark suggested a setup that we ought to use. And I've been here for 4 days now just running the crap out of it, and we're right exactly where Mark said we'd be.
Meanwhile, Bobby Labonte is making his final Busch Series run for the 97 season. Tony Stewart will take over the Shell Pontiac ride for the rest of the season and for 98. ARCA driver Blaze Alexander will make his Busch Series debut later today. He was fastest in second-round qualifying Saturday and rolls off 26th for the Kenwood 300. Loy Allen is back in the saddle. He'll be piloting the number 48 UniFirst Ford from the 42nd and final position. Kevin Schwantz's week started off with a bang on Thursday. He lost control in turn 3 during practice, slammed into the wall and burst into flames before coming to rest in turn 4. Schwantz was okay and managed to put the Ryder Chevy backup car in the 22nd position during qualifying. With Kevin LePage out of the 88 car, he will start 13th today in the number 4 Phoenix Racing Chevy. LePage will likely stay in that car for the rest of this season before embarking on his full-time Winston Cup ride for 98. As for Friday's qualifying session, Bobby Labonte had that Shell Pontiac dialed in. He rolled off early and grabbed the pole with a time of 41.194 seconds. That time stood until Busch Series Rookie of the Year Steve Park hit the 2-mile oval in his AC Delco Chevy. Park edged out Labonte with a time of 41.106 seconds, or 175.157 miles per hour. And joining us now, the driver of the AC Delco Chevy and the pole sitter for today's race, Steve Park. And Steve, you've broken all kinds of records as a rookie in the Busch Series, but how important was it to get that first pole for AC Delco team?
I tell you what, this AC Delco Chevrolet Monte Carlo team's been working real hard all year long to try to get a pole. And at the beginning of the year, we kind of set some goals to try to win a race, win a pole, and finish in the top 10 in points. And fortunately, we've had a great season and been lucky enough to overcome or at least achieve all the goals we had set for ourselves in the beginning of the year. And the only thing we've been missing is that pole. And it seemed like we were able to get it this weekend here at California inaugural race. And we're just real thankful for it. The guys have been working hard for it, and we're real proud.
You mentioned inaugural race in your 3 previous inaugural races this year at Las Vegas, at Texas, and at St. Louis. Your average finish has been 19th, but do you like your chances today?
We do. We had a happy hour practice this morning or yesterday, and the car was running real good, and it seems to be drafting real good and good when it's tucked up behind some other cars. And this place tends to lend to be like Michigan, and this is the car we won Michigan with, so hopefully we can win again here at California.
And you can't count Steve Park out on the pole for today's Kenwood 300. Let's check out the rest of the first 5 rows for today's race. And Bobby Labonte sits beside Park on row 1. Again, this is Labonte's Busch Series finale. On row 2, Tim Fedewill rolls off 3rd. On the outside of row 2, it will be Mr. Inaugural, Elliott Sadler. On row 3, Matt Kenseth is on the inside in the Kraft Singles Chevy. And Stevie Reeves put the first Ford into the field with a great qualifying run at 6th. Row 4 sees Hollywood stuntman and actor Stanton Barrett in the North Star Water Ford. Beside him will be Shane Hall in the Lux Food Chevy. And the 5th row has Dick Trickle in the Durloop Chevy. And rounding out the top 10 will be Mark Crow in the Clearwater Chevy.
In the Truck Series, you had to feel for Mike Bliss. He and Rick Corelli were the only 1996 winners yet to win in 97. Bliss, though, has been agonizingly close this year with 3 second-place finishes. This marked the 2nd straight week he had started from the pole. Last week he finished 3rd. Where would he end up in yesterday's race? Let's head to the action now to find out. For the 5th time this year, Mike Bliss started from the pole in the No Fear Challenge 200 truck race from Fontana. This was by far the biggest track the trucks had ever run on. Check them out early, 5 wide in certain spots. And you had to love the battle for second between these 2 guys, Kenny Irwin Jr. and Ernie Irvin. It was a sign of things to come. Irwin, as you know, will replace Ernie in Robert Yates' 28 car next year. It was a tough afternoon for Rich Bickle, who was 2nd in points coming in. By lap 25, he was a lap down. He was 2 down at the break, and he never recovered, finishing 26th. The first drivers out of the race were Jimmy Hensley and Horace Said. Hensley entered the race with 4 top 10 finishes in his last 5 races, but an oil pressure problem forced him to shut it down for his first DNF of 97. Said brought out the first caution when he blew the motor on lap 43. Now, usually the halfway break comes at halfway, but because the trucks couldn't go 50 laps on a tank of fuel, NASCAR moved it to 60 laps so they'd be able to go the final 40 without stopping for gas. Bliss, by the way, led at the break after being in front for 53 of the 60 laps. As they went to green for the second half, Joe Ruttman fell back in the LCI Ford with a transmission problem. He was done for the day. Shortly after, Robbie Gordon, who was filling in the 18 truck, exits with a carburetor problem. Bliss was sailing along and had a 7-second lead until Rob Rizzo spun, bringing out the 3rd caution. On lap 90, Rizzo wasn't as fortunate as he hit the wall in turn 2. With 3 to go, Mike Wallace and Ernie Irvin passed Kenny Irwin for 2nd and 3rd respectively. And that was the only battle in the closing laps because Bliss was just too strong. He wins for the first time this year after 3 runner-ups. He wound up leading 93 of the 100 laps.
It feels real good. We should have won a few more, but that shoulda, woulda, coulda. But, you know, to come here at Fontana and dominate, sit on the pole and lead a lot of races feels really good.
Was it as easy as it seemed out there? It seemed like a walk in the park.
Well, the ASC Ford was handling perfect. I mean, it was flawless. In the Robert Yates built a hell of a motor, and that thing ran like a horse.
Wallace took 2nd. Irwin got around Irvin to grab the 3rd spot after the 2 bumped several times in the final lap. Irvin didn't take too kindly to it after the race, giving Kenny some choice words.
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was good, hard racing. I mean, both of us were trying to go for the spot. I don't know. Evidently, he's upset about something.
We are out of time for this segment of Inside NASCAR, but more of the show is straight ahead as Ned comes your way from the shop of Joe Bessie. The Kenwood 300 is at 4 o'clock Eastern today under the bright California sunshine. And as we leave you here for this break, here's a look at the rest of the starting field for today's Kenwood 300. Enjoy the race, everybody.
Mooresville, North Carolina at Bessie Motorsports. This team fields the Power Team Chevrolets, which are driven by Joe Bessie in the NASCAR Busch Series. This team's having a good year, and so is Jeff Burton in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. In his second year with Jack Roush in the Exide Batteries Ford team, they have won 3 races this year. Jeff stands 4th in the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings going into the race next weekend at Rockingham, North Carolina. Recently, Tyler Potter talked to Jeff about the success that they're having.
The label on Jeff Burton heading into the 1997 season, an up-and-coming driver with a lot of potential. He was supposed to be Ford's answer to Jeff Gordon. With 3 races left in the year, it may be a bit early for a report card, but 3 victories and 18 top 10s attest Burton's already made the grade.
We've had a great year. Things have gone extremely well for everybody, the Exide Batteries team, but there's a lot to go accomplish. You know, 1 year of being a successful race team doesn't make us a great race team. It doesn't make me a great race car driver. Doing it over a lot of years is how that's judged. So when you compared us to Terry Labonte and Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt and those guys, you know, we're behind those guys because to prove it over a bunch of years is a lot harder than just do it 1 year. But we got a good start on it this year. If we can maintain the momentum that we had and keep things going, then maybe we can be somebody that's not considered to be an up-and-coming driver, but to be a driver that's here for now.
Burton's wins have come at Martinsville, New Hampshire, and Texas. Tracks 1/2 mile, 1 mile, and 1.5 miles in length, respectively. And even though he's yet to win on a super speedway, he feels he's becoming a more complete driver.
That's one of the things that I respect a lot of the race car drivers that we spoke about earlier, is that the guys that can run up front every single week on all different kinds of racetracks are the guys that can win Winston Cup championships. It means a lot to me personally and a lot to my race team to be competitive at all racetracks. When you do that, it shows how strong of a race team you are, but it shows the capabilities of the driver being able to adjust from one track to another, and it's very important in a Winston Cup series where we go from so many different types of racetracks.
Jeff's rise to Winston Cup elite status can be attributed to the combined efforts of Jack Roush and Buddy Parrott. They put this team together in 1996. That year, Burton finished 13th in points, and through 29 races this year, Burton stands 4th. Between them, they have decades of experience, and that, Burton says, commands respect.
Jack has brought to me something that I've strived to have, not only in racing, but in life, and that's somebody that I can, you know, that I can look up to that has been successful in this sport. He has been successful in Winston Cup racing. He's been successful in motorsports. I have a great relationship with Jack in that it's very open, a very honest relationship. Jack can walk up to me and tell me when he thinks I'm wrong and when he thinks I'm doing something wrong, and I can do the same. And through honesty and through openness, we cover a lot of bases that I think a lot of other race teams don't cover. What's great about Buddy is that not only is he a good crew chief and a good general manager, but he's a good person. We have fun together. The team has fun with him. He makes all the work that we do a lot of fun, and he's a smart guy. He knows the business. He knows the things that make the business click, that make the business not click well at other times, and he gives us, as a group of young guys, enough freedom to go do things that we feel like we ought to do, but he always is there to check after us, and that's a huge advantage for us to have.
Lost in the shuffle of Jeff's success has been brother Ward, whose only Winston Cup win came in 1995 at Rockingham. While Ward has toiled in mediocrity since, Jeff has flourished, taking sibling rivalry to a professional level.
Well, it's hard because, you know, we are directly competing against him because we're another race team out there. When one brother is doing well and the other one is struggling, it's hard for both of them. You know, Ward is a very capable race car driver, and I think Bill Davis Racing is a capable race team. Together, they will work their problems out, you know, I want them to work them out. I want Ward to be a competitive race team, and I want them to be able to win races. But it is hard when you know, I haven't always outrun Ward. There's been times when Ward's outrun me. It's just for right now, we seem to be doing a better job.
With all 3 Roush drivers currently running in the top 10 in points, it's easy to see why the championship is an attainable goal for this team. And while Mark Martin may have the only shot at it this year, Burton thinks the best is still to come.
Everybody knows Mark and I teaming up in one shop next year, and I think that'll benefit both of us. I think it'll benefit everybody at Roush Racing. So who knows, it might be a 2 or 3 or 4 car race for the championship among Roush Racing. That's what we're hoping happens. And you know, I believe if we come out of the gate next year as strong as we came out of the gate this year, that we will have a chance. But it doesn't take many fumbles to mess up your whole year, and we've got to guard against that.
Over the years, we've talked a lot about brother combinations driving race cars, father-son combinations, but not often do we see father-sons who are crew chiefs in NASCAR Winston Cup racing. In fact, the only ones that come to mind as far as I'm concerned are the Parrots. Buddy Parrott, who's crew chief for Jeff Burton and the Exide Ford Batteries team, and his son, Todd Parrott, who's a crew chief for Dale Jarrett and the Ford Credit Quality Care car number 88. Well, Stephanie Boyd-Durner sat down and talked to both of them this week.
After years of working side by side, father and son, crew chief and right-hand man, Buddy and Todd Parrott now compete against each other as two of the top crew chiefs in Winston Cup racing. Todd learned the basics from his dad so well, in fact, that he and his driver Dale Jarrett are now a tight 125 points ahead of Buddy and his driver Jeff Burton for third in the Winston Cup title chase. And that's just a little too close for even father and son to ignore.
Right now, with 3 races to go, things are getting really tough. Now, they had a pretty good run at Talladega and gained some points on us. They're fourth. We're third in the points. They're only like 125 back. But like I told him this morning, he said, you know, we're gaining on you in the points. You know, we're not but 120 back. I said, I ain't worried about what's behind us. I said, I'm worried about what's up there in front of us. But yes, there's rivalry, there's competition, but that's just racing in general. You know, I think it's not bad competition or anything like that. We're having a lot of fun with it, and I think whichever one goes to the head table or the closest to the head table in New York, we'll have a lot of fun with that too.
But the battle hasn't been all fun. Rewind to Darlington on Labor Day when both Burton and Jarrett were trying to run down Jeff Gordon for the lead, and their battle spilled over into the pits.
Tell me about Darlington. You guys, there were a couple of words there that day, weren't there?
Well, sure there was, and that was a competition, and I wouldn't want him to be any other way. You know, I want him to stroll down pit road and throw a fit, and I mean, I don't know where he learned that from. It must have been from his mother. That's all I can say. Yeah, I've always been calm, cool, and collected, and so I don't know.
You're real calm at night when you do that 4-foot level, right?
Yeah, right. But what I really want to say right now is that, you know, it's awful funny that we've been racing all this time, and for some reason, Todd Parrott, my son, brought me coffee and an Egg McMuffin this morning, and I still don't know what that was all about. But the whole time he was up there, he kept looking through the window at our cars. So I don't know whether he came in spying or what, but it was pretty neat that he brought my breakfast. So I'll probably tomorrow, I think I'm gonna get biscuits and things and go over to Robert Yates Racing and check him out.
That'd be a good idea.
These are pretty good times for the Parrots, aren't they?
They really are. We've been very, very fortunate to be
associated with the race teams that we are associated with, and the drivers, and the people that we have working with us. I mean, it's not just me that's gotten all this success, and it's not him that's gotten all the success. It's what we've learned, or what I've learned from him, put it all together with these people that want to win. And, you know, it's a team thing. It's not an ideal, and I'm having a lot of fun, and he's having a lot of fun. And like I said, we're just very fortunate to work with the teams that we do work with.
There's got to be a lot of pride, even though you're competitors. When you see him going to victory lane, does that make you really proud?
It really does, and you know, I would like to go over there, you know, and just hug him and really let him know how I feel. But he knows how I feel. Anybody that's in their right mind could be in this situation. I remember, you know, Bud Moore and his son Greg, and I remember Cotton Owens and Cotton Owens' son, how proud they were of them and following in their footsteps and being successful in the racing. And you know, we've got another person coming along too, Brad. Brad's doing a great job, and Todd. You know, Todd's got him under his wing or whatever. I don't know what they're doing over there, but he took him away from me and in the right front pocket, I guess. But anyway, they're doing a great job together. They've got a great race team, and it's a good mix. You know, Dale Jarrett. I think Dale Jarrett's coming in his own as far as being one of the greater race car drivers right now. I've got a young, aggressive person in Jeff Burton, and I'm happy. And so Judy's sitting over there. She's happy. And so I don't know where else we could go with this thing other than win a championship. And he and I both are definitely going to push that second and third place guy as hard as we can to go on to New York. But the good thing is that we're going to New York this year unless something really happens bad. And I'd like to see us go second and third and fourth or whatever. But to be able to go together, it's going to be neat.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. Two great guys and two hard workers. We need to take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll take a look at the brand new Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we'll also have the mailbox and lots more. So stay with us.
We'll be ready. We're down to the cosmetic things now. The thing we want to make sure is that all the little fine things are done and the fans come in, all the amenities in place for them, because we're going to have a sold-out house, it looks like, for the Napa 500 and a good crowd for the Saturday ARCA race as well.
I retreat, man. I live in Shenandoah Valley, Virginia, on the Allegheny mountainside. I go to my home and I retreat. Got like 80 acres away from nobody. That's what I do. That's what I do. I go there, I don't do anything.
Hunting, fishing?
Just whatever. No people, just retreat.
Pretty much just sit around and relax. Spend some time with Susan and Kyle, and other than that, that's about it.
Anything dramatic?
Well, I'm going to go run a race in Nashville, Tennessee, but that's just a one-day deal. Go do it and get back home. So it's going to be a pretty good deal. I mean, we're ending at the end of an 11-week stretch, and you know, it's good to kind of get to know your wife and child again.
I'm going to stay right around the house and just kind of piddle there and, you know, maybe go out on the boat and just relax. I haven't been on the lake but one time this year for about 3 or 4 hours. So get on the boats, maybe the sea-doos, and then lay on that couch for a little bit.
Anything around the house you have to work on?
Yeah, we're doing some remodeling downstairs, laying some limestone, and I want to go down and survey that and maybe look at some things for my office and stuff. So just, you know, just kind of a day around the house, just kind of relax, something we haven't had a lot of.
A brand new Chevrolet race car under construction here at Bessie Motorsports. I mentioned a little earlier that the NASCAR Winston Cup drivers and teams have this weekend off, and boy, is it a deserved one. They've had 11 weeks in a row without a break. That's quite a tough stretch for them. Certainly they didn't have much time to build new cars. Stephanie Board-Durner takes a look at what lies ahead.
For the first time since the end of July, Winston Cup competitors have the weekend off. The stretch they just wrapped up started 11 races ago at the Brickyard 400, and several drivers have felt the heat. Terry Labonte dropped from 3rd to 5th in the standings during that time, but he did wind it up with his first win of the season at Talladega. Ricky Rudd went from 8th to 15th despite winning the Brickyard, and Jeremy Mayfield also dropped out of the top 10. On the other hand, Bill Elliott has moved into the top 10. He's 8th, and so is Rusty Wallace, who started the stretch back in 14th. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, and Dale Jarrett continued to be the dominant drivers over the past 11 weeks, with Gordon and Jarrett both winning 3 races and Martin claiming 2. Gordon started the stretch, leading Martin by 64 points heading into Indy. Midway through, Martin took over after the Bristol race. But Gordon has since regained the lead and now holds a 110-point advantage heading into the last 3 events of the season. Since the current point system was instituted in 1975, the driver leading with 3 races to go has won the title all but 4 years. But those 4 years are proof that anything can happen. In 1979, Richard Petty was trailing Darrell Waltrip by 17 with 3 races to go, but went on to win his record 7th title. In 1990, Mark Martin led Dale Earnhardt by 49, but when the season was done, Earnhardt took his 4th championship. 1992 was the tightest points battle in the sport's history, as Bill Elliott led Davey Allison and Alan Kowicki with 3 to go. But as everyone knows, Kowicki triumphed in the end, claiming the title by a mere 10 points, the narrowest margin ever. Of course, just last season, Jeff Gordon led Terry Labonte by only 1 point with 3 races left in the season, but the Iceman kept his cool, going on to his 2nd Winston Cup crown. So as they head into the final 3 of this year's chase, how will things shake out? Well, of the 3 tracks coming up, Rockingham, Phoenix, and Atlanta, Gordon has 3 victories, Martin has 4, and Jarrett has yet to score. In the last 11 races, Gordon has more top 5s and top 10s than either Martin or Jarrett, but all 3 drivers are very close. That means whoever's going to win the title has got to be on their toes, ready to take advantage of any situation and have a little luck on their side, too. The next few weeks are pivotal, but in less time than it took to run half of the most recent stretch, we'll all know for sure who will carry the title of 1997 Winston Cup champion.
Joe Bessie has another car over here in the corner that's not a Busch car. It has number 7 on it, not the 6 that he has on his Busch cars. He runs an ARCA race each year, the last race of the year at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He has run it the last 3 years. He has a 3rd, a 2nd, and last year he won it. He'll go back this year to defend his title next month. Well, he'll have a brand new racetrack to run on. They've made a lot of changes at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. They flip-flopped the front from the back and the back to the front and all of that. Phil Wurz was there this past weekend at an open house.
Out with the old Atlanta Motor Speedway and in with the new. After months of construction and renovations, the Speedway stage is set for Championship Sunday next month. As you can see, 3 months ago, this famed track was in the midst of a major multi-million-dollar facelift. Wider turns, a new front stretch, and sparkling new grandstands for the fans. Now, almost 3 months to the day from our last visit, Atlanta Motor Speedway is ready to show off all its niceties for the Napa 500.
We're a little behind with the paving, and that concerned us early on, but now that it's done and we've had tire testing on it, we know it's going to be fast, we know it's going to be competitive. We're looking forward to getting lots of cars out here and really seeing what it's going to be like, but we're very excited about November.
And the fans appear to be pretty excited about November, too. Hundreds of people attended an open house at the track last Saturday. Fans got a chance to find their own line in their own cars around AMS, try out what legend car racing is all about, or just walk around the grounds to see all the improvements, including a brand new infield and garage area. Robbie Tatum from nearby Griffin, Georgia, came to see all that, plus where his new grandstand seat is along the front stretch.
I like it a lot. It's different, really different from last year. Looks a little longer, a little wider. It'll be some good racing.
What gets you excited about this race, this last race of the year in, year out?
Watch Mark get a hold and catch Gordon.
It's going to make it special for you this year, right?
Yeah, and watch at least Bill get a top 5.
The drivers coming here next month are hoping to visit this brand new amphitheater-like victory lane right across from the brand new start-finish line they'll cross. Remember, like Darlington, this track has flip-flop start-finish too. Home state hero Bill Elliott was the first to test the new speedway a few weeks ago, and Bobby Labonte followed with 2 days of extensive tire testing. Both are giving thumbs up to the new design.
It's a whole different racetrack. It's a whole different feel. It's a whole different look. I mean, it's different. I mean, totally different.
It's just really fast, smooth, got a couple little tricky places in it, and the back straightaway is real wide now.
Roush and Hendrick drivers are scheduled to test as well over the next week or so. With a possible Winston Cup championship on the line in the season-ending Napa 500, officials at the track will be busy doing some last-minute fine-tuning to make the event a special one.
We'll be ready. We're down to the cosmetic things now. The thing we want to make sure is that all the little fine things are done and the fans come in, all the amenities in place for them, because we're going to have a sold-out house, it looks like, for the Napa 500 and a good crowd for the Saturday ARCA race as well.
Well, thanks, Phil. We can't wait until next month to get to the new Atlanta Motor Speedway and see all of those improvements that they've made. Well, we need to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll have the mailbox. Then a little later on in the program, a conversation with Joe Bessie. So you stay with us.
1997, an unforgettable year in the history of NASCAR. And now, race fans, when you order your 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup yearbook, you'll automatically be entered in the Book a Ride 8 sweepstakes. You could win the grand prize, $5,000 in cash and 4 tickets to the Coca-Cola 600. Or you could be a weekly $1,000 winner, or win one of many other great prizes. Call 800-632-1100 and place your order now. To enter without a purchase, send a postcard with your name, address, and phone number to this address. You'll treasure this bonded leather coffee table collector's edition featuring great color photography of the entire 97 season. But hurry, only a limited number are available, and at only $39.95, they're sure to sell out. Entry deadline December 12th, so order your copy of the 97 NASCAR Winston Cup yearbook now. Christmas delivery and satisfaction are guaranteed.
I like the publishers so much, I asked them to do one about my 25th year. Ask your operator about it.
Congratulations to Ron Manfredo of Warwick, Rhode Island, this week's winner of $1,000 in the Book a Ride sweepstakes. You could be next.
The Inside NASCAR mailbox is brought to you by Miller Lite. Our question today is from Donald Furler from Marietta, Ohio. How do the team provide security for the hauler and the race cars when on the road and at the racetrack?
Hi, my name is Dennis Ritchie, truck driver for the Roush Racing Valvoline team. And to answer your question, Donald, as far as security, once the truck leaves the shop on the way to the racetrack, the only security we have is pretty much our own. And then once we get to the racetrack, NASCAR has fenced-in areas with security guards at the racetrack to make sure that there's nothing happens to the hauler or the race car while we're here. Thank you for writing in.
If you have a question for the Inside NASCAR mailbox, write to us at Inside NASCAR, Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina 28224. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Lite jacket, plus a cap and shirt from Chase Authentics, the authentic trackside apparel of NASCAR. Enter to win the Chase Authentics Fan Fantasy Sweepstakes. Win a trip for two to one of NASCAR's biggest races of 1998. Entry forms and complete rules in the men's department of participating Sears stores.
Well, it's time now for a short break. When we come back, we'll talk with Joe Bessie, who drives these race cars here at Bessie Motorsports. So you stay with us.
It's going to be a lot of work to continue to even think about that second win. I mean, we're going to have to pick up the pace. We're going to get a lot more respect on the track. It might be a little bit easier in some aspects on the track. We're going to end up with a lot more respect now that we've gotten that first win.
What a special day that was about a month ago in Dover, Delaware for Joe Bessie and his team. It was their first win in NASCAR Busch competition. They had won in the Busch North Series and had won in ARCA competition, but that was their first one in the Busch Series, and it was very, very special, and they don't figure it's going to be their last either. Phil Wurst talked to Joe recently about his team.
The win means a tremendous amount to us, and we're hungry for another one.
But don't fault Joe Bessie if he enjoys his first Busch Series win. Since he started running in the series 6 years ago, his career has been filled with ups and downs, mostly downs. As an owner-driver, Bessie has had more pressure to succeed than most. The seemingly endless adversity has helped Bessie to appreciate his recent success. For drivers, that first win is always something special, but the first win for Joe Bessie at Dover was something extra special because of all the hard times he had to endure to finally make it to victory lane.
I kept a shop, full-time shop running. I've had full-time people since 1993 down here, and we've had very, very limited sponsorship. And I just have had to create a smoke and mirror show for 4 or 5 years now, and I was really, really getting down to the point where I didn't know how much longer I could pull that off. Which makes that win so gratifying.
Now things are starting to turn around for Bessie. Power Team is on board as a full-time sponsor, allowing Bessie to concentrate on driving the number 6 Chevy. Another thing helping this team succeed is the pit crew, who's taken it upon themselves to improve their performance on race day.
We actually had a reputation for, if we were running up front in the first segment of the race, don't worry about it. As soon as they pit, they'll be in the back. And I kind of let the team, it finally wore on them that how bad we were looking in the pit, and they really took it upon themselves to turn that program around. And I mean, we've got a team now that could compete with a lot of Cup teams in the pit.
That may be true, but as far as an eventual move to Winston Cup goes, Bessie says he's happy right where he is in the NASCAR Busch Series.
At this point, I tend I need to really regain some momentum psychologically, and I need to regain some confidence, and I don't need to put myself in a situation where I'm not going to be able to run up front. I don't want to do that right this second. I want to really get competitive in this series before I even think about making a move up there.
Bessie can now focus on the future. He admits that he finds it hard to set lofty goals because he's had to endure so much disappointment along the way. But with things coming together for this team, Bessie can at least concentrate on racing and getting that second win.
We're going to get a lot more respect on the track. It might be a little bit easier in some aspects on the track. We're going to end up with a lot more respect now that we've gotten that first win. But there's also going to be a lot of people that are going to race you a little bit harder because they know you're capable of winning now. So, I mean, there's nothing easy in this sport. So to answer your question, it's going to be hard damn work to win another race.
When you see Mark Martin, you see a professional whose exercise program is as routine as climbing in his Valvoline race car. But there was a time when the Batesville, Arkansas native was just learning how important exercise was to his racing career. The year was 1982, and Martin was in a heated battle with Jeff Bodine for the Winston Cup Rookie of the Year title. That's when Humpy Wheeler, the president of CMS, introduced Martin to a very unique way of getting ready to go racing.
We've been looking for an exercise that simulated what happens to a driver out on the track, and since they're only getting 150 to 160 hours of track time a year on the Grand National circuit, we looked at a lot of different things and found out that rowing a boat used the same muscles that a fellow uses in a race car, and it does exactly what we want it to do, and that is build up endurance, which these fellows need to run 500 and 600 mile races.
One of the drivers that was involved in the preliminary test was Mark Martin. Mark, what's your opinion of this concept?
Well, Ned, I think that rowing is probably the best way of training for a 500-mile race in a Grand National race car. Before Humpy brought it up, I had never even considered it. I jog, try to run some, and work out regularly, but the rowing aspect of it is a whole lot better for me because you can do it all at one time.
Now, some 15 years later, Martin's hard work and determination to be the best is paying off as he battles neck and neck for the 1997 Winston Cup Championship.
The NASCAR action moves to the 1 mile North Carolina Motor Speedway at Rockingham next week, the AC Delco 200 NASCAR Busch race on Saturday, along with the annual Unocal Rockingham Pit Crew competition. Then on Sunday, it's the AC Delco 400 NASCAR Winston Cup race. Plenty of action at Rockingham, and we have plenty here for you, too, on Inside NASCAR next week, right here on TNN. So let's take a look at what we have for you.
After getting off to a somewhat disappointing start, Ken Schrader and Andy Petrie are definitely hitting on all 8 now. We'll catch up with Kenny and talk about how things have turned around and why. Buckshot Jones has been at the center of more than one hurricane this year in the NASCAR Busch Series, and we thought it would be nice to slow things down a bit. Recently, Phil Wurz visited with Buckshot in Monticello, Georgia, to talk a little racing and do a little fishing. Be sure to hook up with those stories next week on Inside NASCAR.
Nowadays, just about every member of a team is a specialist. Back when I drove race cars, the crew chief had to build the engines, sweep the floors, build the chassis, set the cars up. Whatever needed to be done, he had to do it. Well, there are still a few people around that have multiple talents on a team. Take, for example, Big John, who works for the Joe Nemechek team in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. He's the truck driver, he's the assistant gas man, and most of all, he's the chef for the team. Can you believe that? Well, Big John is the subject of this week's Inside NASCAR Profile.
You nickname him Chef Boyard John. There's no...
He's always cooking. He loves food.
He's very high in cholesterol and fat.
There's always something good to eat on our trucks.
He's hungry.
They didn't want cold cuts anymore, and I don't blame them, you know what I mean, because, you know, when you're in a grocery store buying cold cuts, you're not really buying gourmet lunch meats and stuff like that. You know, you're dealing with what they have there. You bring it back here, in the transition, it warms up, it gets cold, so it gets its nickname Slick Meat. Well, I mean, I told them I could do it. I said, you know, if you guys get a grill, I'll handle it for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not afraid of a grill or cooking or anything like that. I mean, as a matter of fact, food preparation is like a hobby of mine, really, you know. And, you know, I've been, I think, getting better at it through the years.
How you doing, man?
I make the typical cookout stuff, dogs, burgers, and chicken. But I mean, I like the chicken breast because the way it tastes, that's like my favorite at the track anyways. But I bring a lot of deer meat to the track too as well. As a matter of fact, this isn't mine, but I have some moose here that a local state trooper gave to me to try out. I've never had moose before. So we do probably 4 or 5 different ones, maybe 6 altogether.
What's your favorite out of all his dishes?
His hamburgers. I mean, I love his hamburgers, especially the one with a lot of fat on it. And you put it on the bone just the grease all through. But it's so good. And actually, we're looking for a sponsor from either Rolay, Tom's, or somebody for heartburns. Because after you get through eating, you got heartburn, but it's good.
Folks, that's it. We got to get out of here. Our time's up. Hope you enjoyed the show. Our thanks to all the folks here at Bessie Motorsports for allowing us to visit them. You join us again here on TNN for more on Inside NASCAR.